All right, thank you for that. We now want to move on to the next discussion, and this is on to our family check segment today. And today, as mentioned earlier on, we're going to be talking about child marriages in our country. It is sad that in this day and time, we still have to deal with this vice that is in our society, but it's not just us as a country, but us as a continent and the world over. And more so, given that we are in this pandemic, a situation that is said to have exacerbated this particular vice in society. Now, child marriages is still one of the issues that is being addressed in these 16 days of activism, and we do hope by the end of these 16 days we have made a step, even if it's just the only thing we're going to make when it comes to the fight against child marriages here in our country. Now, to help us with this conversation this morning, I have one lady with me in studio. She is known as Njeri Migwi, who is the co-founder and executive director at Usikimye. Karibu sana, Njeri.
Asante sana.
Thank you for making time to be with us this morning. Now, you can also be part of this conversation. Talk to us via our communication platforms. On Twitter, you can use the hashtag Good Morning Kenya. Our official station handle is at KBC Channel 1. My handle is at Njeri Migwi across all the socials. And our guest will be giving us her social media handles in a bit. Maybe you could do that just now so that our viewers can also interact with you.
All right. My Twitter handle is at Njeri Migwi, and Facebook as well, Njeri Migwi, or at Usikimye.
Absolutely. Now, let's just get straight into it. Now, when anybody hears the name Njeri Migwi, they know that somebody's rights are about to be protected. But for the benefit of our viewers who may be watching you or learning about you for the first time, tell us a bit about yourself and Usikimye as an organization.
All right. My name is, as you heard, is Njeri Migwi. I'm a woman rights defender and an activist for that matter. But most of it, I run an organization together with my co-founder, Stella Kachina, an organization known as Usikimye. At Usikimye, we run a safe home for survivors of either gender violence or sexual violence. So we home, shelter, they go through counseling, they stay with us until they're able to be in a position now to move on and to be reintegrated back to society. As well as we also do rescues. If children have been placed in a position where they are endangered, even in terms of child marriages, we've had a few rescues in which we've done.
Yes.
We are able to go and get them and take them to facilitate them to hospitals, to other homes that have, that are equipped for children, and to just make sure that these children are left in a better place than we found them.
Absolutely.
Yes.
How long has the rescue center been running?
For a year now.
For a year now.
Yes.
And looking at the cases that you have been receiving so far, which have been the most rescue cases and survivors who've come to you? Which cases have been reported mostly from what you have seen?
Child molestation.
Child molestation.
A lot of
and
it. Especially now during the time of the pandemic.
The pandemic has of course, played a huge role in increasing this numbers.
There has been a really large spike towards that.
And in those cases that you have interacted with, the perpetrators, are they people who they are familiar with from what you have heard, or even strangers from what you have heard? What is the case there?
To be very honest, when it comes to children, most of the like molestations, marriages, anything that pertains to children is normally not done by strangers. It's done by people who surround them, from relatives to parents, neighbors. But people, 90% of any crime that occurs towards children is done by people who are closest to them.
Someone who's familiar to the child.
Yes, very familiar.
Now, when it comes to issues to do with child marriages, have you received any cases in the course of the year?
Yes, we have. We've had 3 cases.
3 cases?
Yes.
Now, from just interacting, it's a very emotive issue. I am a mother, so it's very emotive.
Yes.
I will try and keep my emotions out of this particular conversation. But I just want us to understand, some of the drivers of child marriage that we are seeing in this day and time, and why they are still the problem. And I just want to go to an item at a time. Let's just start with issues to do with poverty.
Okay.
From the 3 cases that you have seen this year when it comes to child marriage, has poverty been one of the drivers that have led to that situation?
Yes. Poverty, of course, because when you're poor, you don't have options. I mean, obviously, education, lack of access of education, if you don't have money, really, you don't have a livelihood.
Yes.
So obviously, your parents might sell you off for money, for a bride price, for food. Anything can be a motivation. Also, we are also looking at children who can run away from extreme poverty, thinking that if I get married, we had an instance for a child. This child was about 10
10 years.
Yes. This guy, a Buddha guy, had been giving this child sweets, all right? Sweets and snacks and chips and things like that. And so this child grew very fond of him. He was a neighbor. And this child grew very fond of him. And they were poor and they didn't have access to the same things. So how we came in is because the child started packing. And the mother is asking, where are you going? And the child said, I'm going to get married. And the mother is like, excuse me? You are going to get married. And she said she let the child go. She wanted to see where the child has gone. She saw where he went, to a neighbor's house in another plot, and then she called the police. She called us, and then we went with the police and got the child out. Yeah, this guy is like 22, and the girl was 10.
Now, therein comes another driver. Could the levels of education have contributed to also, of course, looking at that example?
Yes, of course. Access to education is also access to knowing your rights.
Yeah.
It's also access to understanding what it is that you're going through. When you know who you are, obviously via education, then you'll be able to know that this is wrong. But for the Buddha guy, as far as he was concerned, he didn't know, according to him, he didn't know the child was 10. She actually looked 10. But you can see, so us trying to explain to him that child marriage is actually an offense under the Children's Act. And he actually, we're in court with that case.
It's still ongoing.
Yeah, it's still ongoing.
All right. We cannot speak much about that since it's an active case.
Yes.
But we do hope that, this child's rights are protected at the end of the day. Now, another aspect or other driver that leads to child marriages that is not talked about but remains to be a big problem is situations where children are trying to escape the cruelty of their parents that they're living with.
That's it.
Is it something that you have interacted with at the rescue center, or you mostly hear cases from different parts?
You can hear cases from different parts, and obviously it's something that is ongoing in countries, in this country, especially where you're an orphan. That is one of it. And your parents have died, you're left an orphan, and your relatives come and take you. And they tell you, oh, come, I'll take you to school, or I'll take you to, home with me, don't worry, I'll be your mother, and so on and so forth. And these children are now taken to homes where instead of being made into children, they're turned into child labor. So obviously, this is a child who is going to run away. It's going to run away. Most of the children were running away from situations such as that. Extreme cruelty, where you take somebody's child and you turn them into an actual slave. And this child will run away to the nearest person. And obviously, it could be a man, and they get married. And as we know in Kenya, prevalences of child marriages are 23%.
Imagine
23% of girls will get married before the age of 18, and we're looking about 5% before they're 15, they will get married. So you can imagine, that would obviously be a cost. Why would you stay in a home where you're being mistreated? And out here there's a man who's telling you, come. They will run away and they will get married.
Now, as parents, what more can they do to just in as much as you want the best for this child, but the way you go about it is something that the child feels not safe with? How can parents go about, and especially in situations where you hear a child has run away because to the parent reasons may be, what kind of reasoning is this? But to the child, these are things that they hold near and dear to their hearts. How can parents protect their children in a way that the children actually feel protected and not violated at the end of it all?
Talk to your children. I am an advocate, a great advocate in talking to your children. Children are smart. Children are very, very smart. You will find that once you start engaging into your child, you're watching a movie, a program on TV, and you start talking to them, and you start telling them, see, this is how, most people tell you, I don't know how to talk to my child. This is your child, you made them. You need to know how to talk to your children. You need to start having a rapport with your children that you can explain. Buy books if you're afraid of, content, and then you're telling them, oh, so this is what happened to Binti, or this is what happened to Shuja, Start telling them, start teaching them, start educating your children. Let them know. Every time you beat a child, you're terrifying that child, you're scaring that child, and you're making that child start harboring secrets from you. But if a child looks at you not just as a parent but also as a friend, somebody who they can trust,
and feel safe with.
Yes, Exactly. Children need to feel safe with their parents. But if you're the kind of person, the minute the kid opens their mouth, a hard slap follows, then is that child going to trust you? Children need to feel safe in their homes. They need to feel safe with their parents. They need to be able to talk to their parents to a level that when they talk to these parents, their parents are like, wow, so this is what is happening. They can tell you, somebody did this to me, somebody touched me, somebody, made a pass at me. A child needs to be safe enough so that you can tell them, this is not allowed.
Absolutely.
This and this shouldn't be happening to you. And even as they grow into their teenagehood, they know I can trust you. You're a safe space for me. I can come home to mama and I can tell mommy, this and this is happening. And then you'll be like, no, this shouldn't be happening. Let me explain to you how we go about such things. But if children are not safe at home, then where are they safe? They're going to run away to the next safe person. And that's how you find out that, most girls have run away and gone ahead and gotten married.
Because they feel that is the only way they escape this cruel life that they're living in.
And a child that gets married as a child is at a higher chance, even when they get into adult, to this marriage escalating into violence. Yes, because their childhood was robbed. I mean, what business does a 14-year-old have being a mother? This is still a growing person, being a wife.
And this reminds me of an incident that happened around July of this year, where there's this 12-year-old who was married off to 2 men in a span of 1 month. A 35-year-old man and a 51-year-old. So as parents, you are at the forefront when it comes to protecting your children against such issues. And the reasons that are being given, there was also another case of a lady who married off their daughter to be able to take care of the rest of the family.
Yes.
And the little girl was 8 years old. 8 years.
This is very prevalent, especially in northern Kenya.
Yes.
We're also looking at the coast.
And Nyanza as well.
Very, very common.
Now, another problem that also contributes is intertwined with all this is now when it comes to the law enforcement and the policies that are in place. Let's just start with the policies that are there, the legal framework. How are we looking? Are they up to date? Are they effective? Are they just pretty on paper?
Until, yes, they're pretty on paper. You got it right. Until we get to a place where our children, starting from the police station, are protected. I mean, you find children in adult cells. In Kenya, whether you're a witness or you're a criminal, you're all thrown into the same cells. And children are also part of that. We need to start having, yes, we are having child protection units, but are they enough? Are they friendly enough? When I see as a neighbor, and let's say I look at a situation and I find like, am I really willing to go to the police to report? Do I know if I go and report if I'll be thrown in? Those are some of the things that, come up into place. So we need to have child officers inside police stations that deal purely with matters of children. Yes, so that it's not just things that look good on paper. We are very good on paper. If we could actually advocate for everything that has been, the Children Act largely protects children. It's fantastic. But if it hasn't been enacted properly into terms of where, from the police, from how many people know what the Child Act is? Yeah, how many people know about it? Have we educated people about it? Have we gone out to the streets? Have we gone out to the village, to anywhere, to the towns, to the slums, everywhere that we are as a country? As a country, have we gone out and told people about what is happening? We haven't, and therefore they don't know how to protect our children.
They don't know how to protect our children.
Yes.
And children know more than we give them credit for.
Yes.
They absolutely understand a lot that is going on around them. It's just that sometimes they are not able to properly communicate because the channels of communications are not as open as they would like them to be in order to communicate. I know when we talk about, being a friend to your child, some people may be like, no, I am a parent, not a friend. Striking the balance has always been a problem for so many people. Now, remember, we're talking about child marriages and just trying to see where we are as a country, trying to understand the drivers that exist in this day and time. And we are joined by our second guest this morning, but nonetheless, he is here. He is Pastor Samson Thiongo, who is also a psychiatrist, mostly focusing on marriage counseling. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for finally getting here.
Yeah, it was a bit tricky, but
you're here nonetheless.
Yes.
Now, issues to do with child marriages. When you are going about your business and you hear cases to do with child marriages, how does this just resonate with you?
Yeah, it's a very heartbreaking situation where especially you're having girls that are just getting into marriages before their time, especially when they are underage.
Yes.
And it's something that is a big challenge, especially right now. It's breaking the hearts of so many people, so many parents. Sometimes even the girls that are supposed to be in school and they're being married off. It's really heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking. It's something that is a challenge to the society right now. Everywhere, especially right now that you're having our children at home, it's really becoming a very big challenge. And I completely pray and believe that something is going to be done, especially from the society, with the parents, with the government, and everybody that is involved, because I think children they belong to all of us.
Yes.
They're not literally just belonging to the parents, but they belong to all of us.
Now, we were just talking with Njeri here, some of the drivers that we are seeing when it comes to child marriages. And one of them that is a big problem is where children are trying to escape the parents and caregivers whom they live with because they feel they are not treated well, or there's some level of cruelty in that space, and therefore they opt for marriage. As a counseling psychologist, what are the consequences of such decisions that children are making that, parents don't really understand because they are the causes?
Yes, sure. There's so many children, especially girls, that are getting themselves into these early marriages simply because they are running away. They're trying to escape from maybe some very restrictive parents, and sometimes they are running away from parents that are trying to or even sometimes they are abusive marriages, and it's really bad. And most of the times, the consequences that comes with the whole of this is that sometimes you get these girls, they are getting into a stage in their life that they were not prepared for. Even biologically, their development is not yet ready for such.
Yes.
And after that, they definitely get into early pregnancies that sometimes is complicated because their body have not yet completely developed to take such kind of things. And at the same time, you get them, they got into a situation that they were not ready for. Or they were not ready they don't know anything to do with marriages. They are not able to handle marriages. Sometimes they are married by people who are far much older than them.
And in most cases, that's the situation.
Yeah, that's the situation. That most cases that they are married by people that are older than them. Psychologically, people who are ready for this, and they get a lot of challenges because they're not even able to make the decisions for themselves as parents because they got into it earlier than it was supposed to be. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now that actually, you've mentioned something that also is one of the drivers that I found to be, leading to child marriages. That is the issue to do with early pregnancies, teen pregnancies.
Yes.
You find situations where a young girl may have fallen pregnant. We don't understand the context of the situation, but consequently, the caregivers or the parents in that same situation force this child into marriage to that partner who impregnated them. Let me start with you, Esther. Is that the only way that parents should look at this situation?
No. Because the minute you marry off the girl, it means that you've stopped her education, her future, anything else that she had any ambitions for. What you've done is you've literally just said, that's it. That's it for her. That's the end of your life. That's the end of your life. You're forcing her, into a wifehood, into motherhood. A girl getting pregnant in this century does not mean that her life is over. It means that you can allow her to be out of school for maybe a year or two, and then she goes back to school after maybe the child has started weaning and is able now to be taken care of from home. But most parents, one of the causes where they marry them off is because of embarrassment. The other cause is because of societal pressure, where they do not want to be seen like their child got pregnant. So quickly marry her off to the first person that they see, who is normally an adult. And this child has not stopped being a child just because they've gotten a child. And you find that is something that humiliates the girl, forces her into a situation where she doesn't even know how to handle it. I'm assuming at 15, at 16, this is not an adult. This is not even at 18. This person is still a child. You know, their decisions that they're making. They say the brain stops growing at 25. So you can imagine at 16, I'm seeing my peers going to school and I am at home taking care of a baby and a husband. So that child's life eventually is ruined. So again, we go back to the cycle of violence that is perpetuated, and it continues.
Now, let me come to you, Pastor. You know, just looking at that same situation, parents who opt to go for this to protect jina ya familia because, you know, kimila lazima uende mali, ulipata huyo mtoto. What are your thoughts about this whole issue of parents marrying off children just because they fell pregnant?
I believe even as parents are also supposed to be aware the challenges and what they are putting their children into. Because when you marry off your child simply because she's pregnant, as a colleague is saying here, being pregnant is not the end of the road. Absolutely. It can mistakenly happen. But I think the parents are supposed to be aware and they're supposed to be supportive, because the pregnancy can be the first problem. But marrying off her to a man is another problem that is going to give birth even to more problems. So trying to solve a problem with another problem complicates the whole thing. So what they're supposed to, I believe what they're supposed to be, parents are supposed to continue supporting their children, because the way they were supporting them before the whole of this scenario is the way they're supposed to continue. It's only that the situation has already changed. The support they were supposed to give have a little bit changed. From now, the child, the girl that was okay and at home, to a girl that has now been impregnated. So it's only that you change the way you are assisting and supporting the child. But marrying off the child simply because she's pregnant, no, you multiply the problem. You are adding into it. You're not at all. And if you're trying to support her, you're saying that you're trying to protect the name of the family. Supposing she's married off that hurriedly, and she goes and not makes it in that family, and she comes back. Maybe she's coming back with another child. When maybe she's battered, and she'll come back to you with more problems than even the ones that she was having by the time you married her off. So I think we are supposed to be completely focused as parents, and you're supposed to know that until someone is past 18 years, they are still under our care. Whatever happens into their lives, be it pregnancy. They can also be sick other than pregnancy. But the way we would support them when they become sick or something else happens other than pregnancy is the same thing that you're supposed to support them. Absolutely. Even when they get pregnant. Yeah. So there is no way, there is no reason. It is not something that you can claim that I'm marrying her off because you want to protect. In actual sense, you destroy more the name of the same family name that you want to protect.
Absolutely. Yes. And in worst case scenarios, you get children who are coming back home in caskets because you decided, you know, that you're not worthy of staying with us anymore. Go mali ulipata hiyo mimba. So as a parent, I know for so many people, for so many parents, it's a struggle. And then mostly to do when it comes to the acceptance phase and trying to just see, unaona feature huyu mtoto, it's gone out the window, but it's not the end of life. It's just a question of looking at the situation as is and trying to see all possible ways forward without being the judge, jury, and executioner of your own child. Now, as we draw the conversation to a close, you know, this is not something that we can fully exhaust in this one sitting, but I just quickly want to talk about safe houses. You know, these are places that are supposed to be a safe space for these young children who are able to find a way out of these harmful situations that they get themselves in, and mostly looking at child marriages these days. How are we doing as a country in terms of having enough spaces for children to be able to go to feel safe from, and especially just from you, Njeri, from given you are in that particular area, do we have enough safe houses for our children?
No.
Or those who need them?
No.
Straight up?
No. First of all, the safe houses in these countries are meant to be havens or sanctuaries for people, survivors of whatever it is that they have survived. Let's say teenage pregnancies, violence, abuse, and such things. But let's start by how many shelters or safe houses are run by the government to actually harbor teenagers who have maybe been chased, because we have, especially during this pandemic, so many pregnant teenagers, so many being thrown out of home. I can tell you in a week we get 2 or 3 calls of teenagers who are looking for homes because they've been thrown out by their parents. So where is even the first government-led shelter in Makueni is a GBV shelter, not for teenagers. Most of the teenager crisis centers are in civic society that have them. So the government could start by being the first one to show us the clear road.
Should be at the forefront in making
in
sure
this
that
fight
we have
and making sure that we have safe havens.
Absolutely. Now, due to the constraint of time, we'll have to just pause at that particular point, but we're definitely going to pick up this conversation to just try and see, issues to do with stigmatization and reintegration, how we are doing as a country. But thank you very much. I have been speaking with Samson Thiongo, who is a pastor and a psychologist, mostly focusing on marriages. Thank you so much for making time to be with us this morning, Samson.
Thank you.
And we have also been speaking with Njeri Migwi, who is the co-founder and executive director at KBC, which is a safe house for sexual and gender-based violence victims. With that, we just want to say thank you so much for being with us this far. We absolutely appreciate that you chose to start your morning with us right here on KBC Channel 1. We wish you a lovely day. Remember to join us again tomorrow morning right here on Good Morning Kenya. My name is Njeri Migwi. Have a lovely day. God bless. See you tomorrow.